Everything Dwight Manfredi built is slipping through his fingers. Episode 8 of Tulsa King Season 3 doesn't just shake his empire, it crushes it from the inside. Betrayal, blood, and broken trust fill every frame as the past finally catches up to the general. This isn't just another episode. It's the moment when every secret comes back to haunt him. The episode opens with an unsettling quiet across Tulsa. The streets feel empty, almost like the city itself is holding its breath. Dwight stands alone outside his bar, watching the morning sun rise over the buildings he once ruled. There's no music, no dialogue, just the sound of his lighter clicking as he smokes, lost in thought. It's a rare, fragile moment of peace before chaos kicks down the door. You can see in his eyes that he knows something is coming. He's not afraid, but he's tired of running, tired of pretending that the old ways still work in this new world. Inside, the crew is tense. Mitch and Bodie exchange worried glances while counting the week's take. Stacy hasn't been seen for days, and rumors are swirling that the ATF might finally have a case strong enough to bring Dwight down. Even Tyson, usually loyal and lighthearted, keeps checking the door like he's expecting someone bad to walk through it. The energy in the room feels different, heavier, sharper. Dwight can sense it too. When he walks in, everyone stops talking. He doesn't yell or threaten, he just looks at them. That silent stare says more than any words could. He gathers the crew and lays it out straight. There's a storm coming, and it's not just the cops. Those words hang in the air like smoke. No one knows what he means yet, but his tone is cold enough to chill the room. He knows Chickie is making moves back in New York, building alliances with people Dwight once called friends. The streets of Tulsa aren't safe anymore, and the empire Dwight built from scratch is now surrounded by enemies, some wearing badges, others wearing smiles. Meanwhile, across town, Stacy is sitting in a dimly lit office, staring at a case file that could destroy Dwight for good. She's torn between her duty and her heart. The file is thick: money laundering, racketeering, and witness statements linking Dwight to 2 murders. Her hands shake as she flips through the pages. She knows that once she signs off on the warrant, Dwight's life as a free man is over. But there's a flicker of hesitation in her eyes. Maybe it's guilt, maybe it's love, or maybe she just knows the system isn't clean either. Back in Tulsa, Bodie meets secretly with a man we've never seen before. He's slick, confident, and clearly dangerous. The conversation is quiet, but the message is loud. Bodie is thinking about switching sides. It's a shocking moment because Bodie has always been Dwight's tech guy, the loyal one who believed in the old school honor Dwight preached. But now, fear has replaced loyalty. Bodie feels trapped between the law and the mob, and he's desperate to protect himself. The stranger offers him safety and a new beginning, but only if he delivers something valuable. We don't hear what it is yet, but from Bodie's uneasy expression, we can tell it's something big. By the time night falls, the calm has completely vanished. The city is buzzing with tension. Dwight visits his daughter Tina in New York over a phone call, trying to sound like everything's fine. But Tina's worried. She's heard whispers about a new crew moving in. "Dad," she says softly, "are you in danger again?" Dwight pauses, smiles faintly, and says, "There's always danger, sweetheart, but I can handle it." The truth is, he's not sure he can this time. The episode's first act ends with a haunting visual. Dwight drives down the highway alone, headlights cutting through the darkness. In the distance, a black SUV starts following him, keeping just enough distance to stay unnoticed. The camera lingers on his face, tired, suspicious, aware. The king of Tulsa is being hunted, and he knows it. The quiet of the opening has turned into something much darker. Every sound, every shadow, every word feels like a countdown. The calm before the storm is over. What's coming next isn't just a fight, it's a reckoning. The next morning breaks, heavy and gray, the kind of sky that feels like it's pressing down on Tulsa. Dwight steps out of his car, scanning the quiet lot outside his bar, and something in the air feels wrong. The world seems just a little too still. No cars, no voices, just the soft hum of danger. Inside, the bar is empty except for Mitch, who's nursing a coffee and trying to hide the worry in his eyes. "You feel that?" Dwight asks, his voice low and rough. Mitch nods without answering. They both know it, the silence before something breaks. Then, out of nowhere, the explosion hits. The back door blows open, the glass shatters, and a fireball lights up the hallway. Mitch dives for cover, while Dwight, almost by instinct, grabs the pistol from under the counter and rushes toward the smoke. The camera follows him through the chaos, bottles crashing, alarms blaring, flames licking up the walls. It's chaos, but Dwight moves like a soldier. Calm, deliberate, deadly. He finds a wounded crew member outside, gasping for air, and kneels beside him. Who did this? Dwight demands. The man can barely speak, but he gets out one word. Chickie. That single name cuts deep. Chickie, the one man Dwight swore he'd never bow to again, has finally brought the fight to his doorstep. This isn't business anymore, it's personal. As the bar burns behind him, Dwight stares into the flames, his face hardening. He's lost men, property, and maybe his safety. But the fire in his eyes says one thing: the war is on. Across town, we see the other side of the betrayal take shape. Bodhi sits in a hotel room, staring at his laptop, his hands shaking. The mysterious man from the previous episode now revealed to be one of Chickie's lieutenants is sitting across from him. You did good, kid, the man says, sliding a thick envelope across the table. Bodhi doesn't touch it. I didn't do it for the money, he mutters. Then why'd you do it? The man asks, leaning forward. Because Dwight doesn't win anymore, Bodhi whispers. He's fighting ghosts. The man smirks. Then let's help those ghosts finish the job. Back at the ATF office, Stacy gets the call she's been dreading. Explosion at the Black Macadome, her partner says. Her face drops. She rushes out the door, heart pounding, knowing that every choice she's made has led to this. The scene cuts between Stacy's speeding car and Dwight standing in the rubble, coughing through smoke, pulling Mitch to safety. Their eyes meet briefly when she arrives, hers full of fear, his full of disappointment. For a second, you can almost see the history between them, the love, the trust, and now, the betrayal that neither of them can undo. Later, Dwight sits alone in his motel room, a bandage on his arm, staring at a photo of his old crew from New York. The picture is worn, edges burnt, faces faded. They're all gone, he murmurs to himself. But then he notices something. One face in the photo, Chickie's, circled in red ink. Someone had marked it months ago, like a reminder of unfinished business. It's a subtle clue that someone inside his circle might have been feeding Chickie information all along. The realization hits him like a bullet. Meanwhile, in New York, Chickie celebrates. Surrounded by his men, he raises a glass of whiskey. To the fall of the king, he says, laughing. But behind that smug grin, there's fear. Chickie knows Dwight isn't the kind of man who stays down for long. The more you hurt him, the more dangerous he becomes. One of his men asks, what if he comes for us? Chickie smirks. Let him try. We'll be ready. Back in Tulsa, Dwight's not sleeping. He drives through the city at night, thinking about every move he's ever made, every person he's ever trusted. His voice echoes in the background as a quiet narration. Loyalties like glass ones, it cracks. It never looks the same again. He stops outside Tyson's house. The young driver opens the door, confused and half-dressed. Dwight looks at him and says, "You still with me?" Tyson doesn't answer right away. That pause says everything. The episode slows down here, shifting from explosions to emotion. Dwight walks to the edge of the Arkansas River, throws his cigarette in, and watches it float away. The reflection of the burning bar flickers across the water, a symbol of everything he's losing. In that moment, you can almost see the weight of his choices. He built his empire on respect and fear. But now both are slipping away. The second act closes with one haunting image. Dwight sitting in his car, dialing a number on a burner phone. The voice on the other end answers, and he says, "It's time." We don't know who he's calling, but from his tone, it's clear Dwight is done defending. He's about to go on the attack. Night falls over Tulsa like a blanket of ash. The fire from Dwight's bar has been put out, but the smoke still hangs over the city like a warning. The streets are quieter than usual, and for the first time, Dwight feels the city turning cold on him. The same people who once nodded at him in respect now avoid his gaze. The power he once commanded through fear has shifted into whispers of doubt. But Dwight isn't the kind of man who waits for mercy. He takes back what's his, one move at a time. The episode opens with him inside a dark warehouse on the outskirts of town. A single light bulb swings above, casting long shadows over his face. Across from him sits an old contact, Armand Trucy, the ex-mob soldier Dwight once exiled for betrayal. Armand looks nervous, knowing Dwight wouldn't call unless things were dire. "You're the last person I expected to see alive," he mutters. Dwight smirks faintly. "You and me both." There's no warmth in his voice. Just business. He slides a photo across the table, Bodhi's face, circled in red. The silence that follows is thick. Armand finally leans forward. "So what's the plan?" Dwight answers without hesitation. I'm taking everything back. Every dime, every street, every name that forgot who built this city. It's the kind of line that echoes the old Dwight, the one who came to Tulsa, fresh out of prison, determined to build something new. But now, his tone isn't hopeful, it's vengeful. Cut to Bodie, pacing in his apartment, sweating. His phone buzzes non-stop, texts from Chickie's men demanding updates. He's in too deep and knows it. When he opens his laptop, he finds an email from Dwight. No words, just a single photo of the burned bar and the caption, "We're not done." It's a message that freezes him in place. Bodie knows Dwight's not bluffing. He's coming. Meanwhile, Stacy is drowning in guilt. She's sitting in her car outside Dwight's motel, watching the lights flicker inside. Her hands grip the steering wheel tight. She knows the ATF plans to move in soon. They think they can arrest him quietly before things escalate. But she also knows Dwight won't go down without a fight. She whispers to herself, "Don't make me choose." Dwight. That one line captures everything between them, a twisted love built on lies, loyalty, and loss. The tension explodes when Dwight finally makes his move. Late at night, he and Armand storm one of Chickie's drug depots hidden under a trucking yard. The scene is brutal and raw, gunfire, echoing, glass shattering, men shouting orders. Dwight moves with cold precision, taking down one guard after another. There's no thrill in it, just purpose. When the dust settles, Dwight finds a ledger full of Chickie's new operations. He flips through the pages, realizing Chickie's not just targeting him, he's rebuilding the entire New York network from Tulsa outward. This isn't about revenge anymore. It's about empire. As Dwight and Armand leave the warehouse, a faint beeping sound catches his attention. Dwight stops, listens, then curses. A tracker. The second he tosses it aside, headlights flash from the road. A black SUV screeches to a halt, and armed men pour out. It's an ambush. Gunfire erupts again, bullets cutting through the night. Dwight dives behind a crate, returns fire, and manages to take down two attackers. But Armand isn't as lucky. A shot catches him in the shoulder, spinning him to the ground. Dwight drags him back to the car, blood soaking his jacket, and speeds off into the darkness. The chase scene that follows is one of the most intense of the season. Dwight's car weaves through the empty streets, tires screeching, bullets cracking the windshield. He finally shakes the pursuers near the old refinery, but Armand's fading fast. In a rare moment of emotion, Dwight grips his hand and says, "You did good, brother." Armand smiles weakly before passing out. For Dwight, it's one more reminder that everyone he touches either dies or disappears. By dawn, Dwight's sitting alone again, this time at the edge of an empty field. His face is bruised, his knuckles bleeding. He lights a cigarette, looks out over the horizon, and mutters, "You wanted a war, Chickie. Now you've got one." The wind carries the words away, but the intent is clear. He's done hiding. The final moments of this section cut between three perspectives: Bodie deleting files in panic, Chickie receiving word of the failed ambush, and Stacy walking into her office to find a signed arrest warrant on her desk with Dwight's name on it. She closes her eyes, knowing what comes next. The pieces are in motion. The king has been wounded, but now he's awake. And when Dwight Manfredi wakes up angry, the whole city feels it. The night sky over Tulsa burns orange again, but this time, it's not from fire. It's the reflection of chaos, spreading through every corner of the city like a living thing. Episode 8 enters its final act with everything collapsing at once. Dwight's war has begun, and the lines between loyalty and betrayal are gone. Every ally has become a suspect, every safe place a trap. The king isn't sitting on his throne anymore, he's out in the streets, fighting to survive in the empire he built from blood and grit. The episode opens with Dwight sitting inside a small church at dawn. The stained glass windows cast soft colors across his bruised face. He's not praying, he's thinking. The silence around him feels heavier than the gunfire from the night before. The doors creak open, and Stacy steps in, her face pale and tired. She looks at him like someone looking at a ghost. "You knew this day would come," she says quietly. Dwight doesn't turn around. "Yeah," he replies, "but not from you." Her eyes fill with regret. She sets a file on the pew beside him. "They're coming tonight," she warns. "If you stay, you're done." He doesn't thank her. He just stares at the crucifix on the wall, lost in thought. The moment feels final. Like a confession, neither of them will survive. Later that day, Dwight gathers what's left of his crewmate, Tyson, and two others. The tension between them is thick. Everyone knows someone's been feeding information to Chickie. Dwight slams his fist on the table. "If you've got something to say it now." No one speaks. Tyson finally looks up. "We didn't sign up for this, Dwight. You brought New York here. and now it's burning us alive." The words hit harder than a bullet. Dwight looks at the kid he once treated like a son and realizes he's already lost him. "Get out," he says quietly, "before I make you part of this mess." Tyson leaves without a word. The family Dwight built is splintering before his eyes. As night falls, the inevitable comes. Chickie's men roll into Tulsa, black SUVs flooding the streets like a small army. Dwight's crew is outnumbered, outgunned, but not outwitted. He's turned the abandoned refinery into a fortress, laying traps and positioning his men. The camera moves between the flickering lights and their anxious faces. Mitch loads his shotgun and mutters, "Feels like the old days." Dwight smirks faintly. "The old days got us here." Then he gives one last order: no mercy. The shootout that follows is the most intense scene of the season. Bullets tear through the air, sparks explode off metal, and shouts echo through the empty halls. Dwight moves like a man possessed, methodical, fearless, unstoppable. He's not fighting for money or reputation anymore. He's fighting for something deeper, something primal. As the battle rages, we see Stacy watching from a distance, hidden in her car. The ATF is waiting for their chance to move in, but Stacy hesitates, torn between doing her job and saving the man she once loved. Inside, the fight takes a brutal turn. Mitch is hit. Bodie, guilt written all over his face, appears from the shadows holding a gun. Dwight lowers his weapon, staring at him. "You did this," Dwight says, voice low and shaking. "I didn't mean to," Bodie pleads. "They said they'd kill me." Dwight steps closer, his eyes cold. "They're gonna kill you anyway." The camera lingers as Bodie drops the gun and runs, disappearing into the smoke. Dwight doesn't chase him, he just mutters, "Coward," and turns back to the fight. Then comes the twist. Chickie himself arrives, dressed sharp.com as ever, walking through the gunfire like a man watching his own movie. "You always thought you were better than me," he says. "Tulsa, your crew, your little kingdom, it's all mine now." Dwight's silence is heavier than any reply. He raises his gun, but before he can fire, a sniper shot rings out. Chickie falls. The camera pans to Stacy on a rooftop, rifle in hand, tears streaming down her face. She's chosen her side. When the smoke clears, Dwight stands alone in the wreckage. His men are gone, his empire in ruins. The ATF cars close in, red and blue lights washing over his face. Stacy walks toward him slowly, badge in one hand, rifle in the other. "It's over," she says. Dwight smirks faintly. "For who?" There's a pause, a moment that feels like forever before he raises his hands. The camera closes in on his eyes, still burning with that familiar fire. Even surrounded, even broken, he looks like a man who's already planning his next move. The episode ends with him being led into a police car, the city skyline flickering behind him. A final voiceover plays, Dwight's voice calm and reflective. "Every king falls, but not every king stays down." The screen cuts to black, leaving the audience in silence. No music, no preview, just the echo of his words. Episode 8 doesn't end, it lingers. It's not about victory or defeat anymore. It's about the cost of power, the price of loyalty, and the fire that keeps burning long after the crown has turned to ash.